This is me just over a year ago trying pure PKing for the very first time. And here's some clips of where I am today. I've learned tons of tricks and tips over my time pure PKing and thought it was finally time to start sharing everything that I've learned with everyone else. I've broken down pure PKing concepts and mechanics in the order that I think everyone should be learning them, starting with basics all the way up to some of the most difficult things to pull off in PvP. Almost everyone will be able to find some new and valuable insight. This is my series of guides that's going to give you the tools to move from a beginner all the way to a risk fighter. Welcome to my fourth and final PvP guide for purers. At this point, you should have a good understanding of how to perform a basic double maul KO, what pit is, some basic movements, and lastly, the 3-tick eating cycle. If you do not know what one of those are, or you're just jumping into this guide now, I suggest you jump back, catch back up, as this guide is going to piggyback off of those concepts. So at this stage in the game, all of your opponents have a great understanding of what we just talked about, and they do not mess up 3-tick eating cycle. They're very hard to KO. So what we're going to be going over in this guide is all sorts of concepts of being unpredictable and trying to catch your opponent off guard to get some good chances and potentially some KOs on them. With that out of the way, let's jump into the first KO method that I suggest learning, which is what I would call a delayed double maul. So the idea of this KO is essentially that you want the double maul to happen a tick after the arrow appears. Just that one tick delay can give your opponent a sense of safety and catch them off guard when you decide to send the spec. Performing this KO is going to be maybe a little bit weird to learn, but essentially you want to wait till the arrows just hitting the target or even the hit splat just appears. And then you're going to commit with your double maul, click your opponent and follow with the whack. This way, the double maul stacks one tick after the arrow and the whack stacks one tick after the double maul. Here's one more example of the delayed maul where this time I did wait for the damage to actually appear before clicking the double maul. Essentially it's the same result, it's just there's a little bit of leniency in the timing of it. Now I want to show a little bit on why this method works, so here's me getting Giga Chance to a delayed maul. If you didn't catch it right away, I am in rhythm with my cycle eats and I hover my brew properly, however I pulled away from it too soon to go and drag my next angler, and the result was I only got a brew off. Normally you get a brew karam off, at least on a delayed maul, and you're usually okay, but in this case, I didn't. The sort of solution to not dying to delayed mauls and basically every KO that we're going to discuss in this guide is a simple micro efficiency in how you drag your anglers while you're cycle eating. Basically, you want to drag your angler while your opponent shoots an arrow. That is the only safe tick that you have to drag an angler. And aside from that, you want to be hovering your brew as long as possible while your anglers are on cooldown. Just to reiterate, hovering that brew until your angler is ready to be consumed again is the key to surviving basically all these unpredictable specs. Moving on to our next KO method, we're going to talk about no arrows. A no arrow is just sending a double maul into a whack on your opponent at just a random point in the fight. I encourage getting creative with some of these KOs on your timing and your movement and stuff like that. Just make sure you're always doing so when you have PID. The only trick to learning this KO is to make sure that you equip your G-maul at the start of a new tick. Ideally, you don't want to flash the maul to your opponent and give away the fact that you're about to send some awkwardly timed spec at them. I may not have gotten the kill in this example, but it did result in a good chance. Another really good trick to catching your opponent off guard with no arrows is you can actually hide your maul with a potion. And what this does is this makes it look to your opponent like you are eating some sort of food and gives them a sense of safety. This is what's known as a pot trick, and the only key to doing it is making sure you click your potion when you're not doing any other animation. You want your opponent to think you're eating some sort of food, so they let their guard down. At that point, you can just do your normal double maul into a whack. In this case, our opponent did not eat it. He was overbrewed, so we needed some pretty big numbers. We almost got it, but the whack did not come through for us. We're going to talk about some movement next, and no, not the same movement that we covered in the last guide. This movement will resemble animation stalling, where your true tile actually leads ahead of your character, and you can actually pull off some specs from what looks like several more tiles away. This is a clip of the first time that I actually pulled this movement off, and you can see that the true tile is actually way ahead of my character, and it looks like I spec'd him from like 7 tiles away. This can throw some PK'ers off because it looks like you are not in range to one tick a Gmaul, and then all of a sudden you do. There's probably many ways to get the animation lagging behind your true tile, but the best way that I know is to actually walk forward 1 tile and then move back 2. From there, you can kind of do the same movement pattern as before of oscillating back and forth. It'll just be a little backwards because your character lags behind. So it's important that instead of watching your character, you watch the true tile on when you need to be clicking back and forth. One more time, just setting this back up, move forward 1, back 2, shoot an arrow, swap prayer and click forward, and then perform my spec at that point on a good XP drop. And as you can see, the true tile is actually within 1 tick Gmaul range, which is why I am actually able to pull this off, and it looks like I am once again 7 tiles away from him. Cool thing about this is you can actually practice getting your animation lagging behind anywhere without actually doing PvP. Just click around at the G and experiment with it and see what gets you into that flow. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to cover in today's guide is the inverse of everything that we talked about, which is a whack double maul. Now, you have to have a whack weapon that has a spec bar in order to do this, so the next clips are going to be done with the anchor since it's a 60 attack here. Now, I want to make note that whack double mauls might be one of the hardest KO methods there is. And big streamers and stuff like that make this look entirely too easy. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. So be patient with yourself while you're learning this one. It takes incredibly fast clicks and you have to be extremely quick on deciding if you're sending this spec or not. All right, breaking down what just happened in this clip. We flick on the strength gear and we're going to equip the anchor just like we would for a delayed arrow timing. We'll just click the opponent, and this is really important. You have to click the maul as soon as your character is moving inwards towards them. It's almost predictive. That's how fast you have to do it. Then you want to double click your spec bar and preload the maul and quickly analyze the XP drop to decide if you are going to send the double maul. I always click my opponent in case they try to step away, but there is another option. You can click the spec bar a 3rd time, and as long as they are right next to you, that will also send the double maul off. One more clip here for you. I just wanted to showcase that you can send a whack double maul at any point in time, just like you can a no arrow. To be unpredictable really means to be random and creative with your KO methods. There might be some small stuff that I've missed throughout these guides, but I think overall this will get you going on your path to risk fighting. Hopefully you found this series of guides helpful. If you have, please drop a like, sub, all that stuff. Boost me in the algorithm. And hope to see you on that high risk world sometime. It's been real. Maybe I'll drop some more guides in the future, but for now, we out.